you know, that he says, I'm so happy to meet you, great saintly person, because in this material world, it's very difficult to get a material body. And maybe not for those who have material bodies, Shana Banguraha. You can very easily lose it. Very quickly. A little mosquito can take it. Sometimes people lift weights, try to become very powerful, or they have a lot of money, or a lot of power, or bodyguard. But you can have all the bodyguards in the world, even a little microbe. Doesn't even take a mosquito. Just one little microbe can take away the power of the greatest, most powerful person in this world. But they don't realize it. But a devotee has to realize it. And therefore, his body very rarely is cheap, and it can be taken away at any moment. And therefore, to practice that. But I think Prakati Durabam Manye, I think that the most difficult thing in this world is not getting a human body. It is once getting a human body, once I have that human body, that Vaikuntha Priya Darshanam, to take advantage of the association of devotees. So that's how King Nimi began this chapter. So, thing which is winding up right in a few more verses, which are very wonderful verses, the next few verses. So, in the previous verse he said, Sankirtan movement. And so now it's saying, if you engage in the Sankirtan movement, Dehinam Brahma you will get part of the whole. You will get this, wherever you are, wherever condition of life. So this is the whole purpose of the analysis of the previous verses. In Satya Yuga was like this, in Satya Yuga was like this, in Dwarka Yuga was like this, and now in Kali Yuga, supposedly the most visible time. But it says, no, what we get, and a few verses back, there are two verses glorifying Lord Chaitanya. If you want Abhishtadoham, you want the greatest benefit, the most wonderful, most perfect benefit. If you want that, then this is what you can achieve by the Sankirtan movement. Because this whole section begins in verse 32. By describing Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then, if you worship his lotus feet, well, you get the supreme Abhishtadoham, the supreme goal, not the supreme wish, otherwise the real desire of the living entity, which is within the heart of the pure living entity. And that is pure devotional service. And when we don't have Krishna, then we try to find that perfection in something external. Family, society, and Srila Prabhupada says family, society, love. These three major goals. And then it describes two wonderful verses, all the benefits of worshipping the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is being described here. Complete shelter of these lotus feet. And Prasad Swami says that in Satya Yuga this is not possible. Now the analysis will come. Why is that possible? But this was the emphasis on the last few verses, that you get shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what can they give you? They can give you the Shiva, Brahma, and Shiva, who are giving shelter to so many living entities. They give shelter to Chaitanya. Their ability to give shelter is coming from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is coming from Radha Krishna. They cannot give shelter by themselves. emphasizing so that otherwise Bhagavatam here is emphasizing, therefore none of us should think that I am the shelter giver. I am the via medium, if I get the opportunity to participate in the Sankirtan movement, I am the instrument to bring people to the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to these Maharaj. That's my duty. That's what it means. That's how we connect ourselves to the Sankirtan movement. We bring others to the lotus feet, of course, through Srila Prabhupada, the Mahabharata Mahan devotee, who has brought in, if you look at the, Prabhupada used to carry around a book about this thick, with the 8 major commentaries on the Bhagavatam. There's 150 regular commentaries and over 1,000 Vaishnava commentaries on the Bhagavatam. And these are the 8 major in a book like this. And Srila Prabhupada expanded it into a book like this to make it available to Kali Yuga. Make it available. We would never understand what Vishwanath Chakravarti, Jiva Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, all of these great acharyas, Chitsu, Viragavacharya. We would never understand. Very elevated, because they're actually, what is the audience that who they're addressing? 500 years ago, or 300 years ago, or 800 years ago, who were they addressing? People who were very advanced. And Srila Prabhupada is addressing the whole world. He's addressing the most advanced, and he's also addressing the most false. So, of course, all of our acharyas do that to some degree, but most of their commentaries were for people who were much more elevated. And therefore Srila Prabhupada has expanded. And our duty is to take this Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada said our movement, our mission will be complete when there is a Bhagavatam in every home. This is how we've had some success. Prabhupada, because that way people will really understand. Just like someone sent me a video yesterday probably, I just saw it briefly, about the great achievements in India. Now, they sent a rocket to the moon, and to the south side of the moon, where nobody else has been. So this is the thing. Everybody, let me outdo the other one. Now, of course, it was very good, because they did it at about 10 times less the price than any other country. So yes, a great achievement. But from the material point of view, but Srila Prabhupada said, he said, what will they do? He said, they win. And they said they simply brought back rocks. He said they spent millions of dollars to collect some rocks. He said, I will sell you rocks for less price. So, this is our great achievement. But anyway, the point is that this competition to be the greatest on the material side. Therefore, the Sankirtan movement is the only hope that people can get out of this mood of trying to exploit the resources of material nature to become great, which already, the Bhagavatam already addresses this in the story of Prabhupada. The same thing that Veda Maharaj was doing, suppress the Brahman, suppress spirituality, and extract everything you can from the earth. What happened? The earth dried up. And Preacher Maharaj, at first he didn't understand. Sometimes even devotees become bewildered. What is happening? But these people, by exploiting the earth will retire her resources. Just like even scientists say that the biggest problem in the future will be water. The biggest thing will be deprived of water. So, chanting the holy name. Now, Sridhar Swami goes into a deep analysis from Jiva Goswami and Srila Swami. Srila Jiva Goswami has explained this as follows. In former ages, such as Satya Yuga, human beings were perfectly qualified and easily performed even the most difficult spiritual processes, meditating for many thousands of years, practically without eating or sleeping. And Srila Prabhupada said, he said in his last 4 months, I always wanted to give up eating and sleeping. Now Krishna has forced me. So the point is, the 6 Goswamis gave up eating and sleeping by chanting the holy name. So something that took thousands of years previously, they did in a few years. So this is the comparison that's been happening here. Thus, although in any age one who completely takes shelter of the Lord's holy name gets all perfection, the highly qualified inhabitants of Satya Yuga do not consider that merely moving the tongue and lips, chanting the Lord's holy name is a complete process, and that the Lord's holy name is the only shelter within the universe. They don't come to that conclusion. They are more attracted to the difficult and elaborate yoga system of meditation, complete with sophisticated sitting postures, painstaking control of the breath, and deep, extended meditations in trance on the personality of God within the heart. In Satya Yuga, simple life is practically unheard of, and therefore people are not afflicted with the terrible reactions seen in Kali Yuga, such as world war, famine, plague, drought, insanity. Nowadays, insanity is becoming more and more popular. Even people, they try to become insane, taking alcohol, drugs, to become insane for a few hours. And some people, if they can take it so long, they become completely insane. So becoming insane, imagine how degraded life has become. To become insane is like one of the most popular activities. That's how insane they are. They're so insane that they're taking cultivated insanity. So, Srila Prabhupada, his mercy, is giving us sanity. Although in Satya Yuga people always worship the personality of God with the Prabhupada as the ultimate goal of life and meticulously follow his laws called karma. They do not feel themselves to be in a helpless condition, and thus they do not always experience intense love for the Lord. So here it is. Even pious people, they want to achieve something like Satya Yuga. They want, let's make everything materially nice. That's just like one big materialist, Rockefeller. His goal, actually to reveal, one of his sons revealed the goal. The goal is to move everyone into the city and then feed them. Feed them, then some people will be in charge of providing food for these cities and let the forest flourish. They think, don't follow some religious process. We've got it all figured out from God. That will put everybody in the cities, will provide synthetic food, and then we'll grow new forests and everything. We'll replenish the planet. So that's their idea. Then the idea will be to promote not having children, so the population will decrease, and then we'll restore the planet to its original condition. Otherwise, I am God. That's the deal. We got it all figured out. But he died, and he didn't achieve that. But still, materialistic people, just like here in India, you cannot buy a piece of land and farm it and make profit. With how much you have to pay for land, an ordinary person cannot buy 5 acres of land and farm it and make it profitable. Actually, we do have a method to do that, but I can explain that another time. But the land, why is that? That makes more people go to the city. Otherwise, land becomes very valuable. People sell their land and they go to the city. And then they're engaged in the industrial, as Prabhupada said, the Uber karma. They all engage more and more people in Uber karma. So this is happening everywhere. People are giving up. In the U.S., less than 2% of the people are engaged in agriculture. Still in India, it's about 25%, 27%, something like that. But, you know, so-called developed countries, 2, 3, 4, 5% both engaged in it. The one thing that everybody needs is food. The one thing, Prabhupada said, you can't live on nothing. So, but the one thing is the thing that people less engage themselves in. Pretty amazing. Anyway. However, in Kali Yuga, living conditions are so unbearable, modern governments are so obnoxious, our bodies are so ridden by physical and mental disease, and even self-preservation is so troublesome that the conditioned souls intensely cry out the holy name of Krishna, begging for relief from the onslaught of this age. When we read Krishna Lila, this happens again and again in Vrindavan. The main part of the whole Vrindavan Lila in Bhagavatam is mostly about Krishna killing one demon after another and devotees taking full shelter of him. That's the main portion of the whole, you know, one demon after another, one difficulty, and how Krishna is giving shelter. So that we understand this is the goal. Because we're conditioned souls. And therefore, our tendency is not to take shelter first, or to only take shelter when there's no other recourse. Otherwise, you try everything else. The Prabhupada speaks about this in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, verse number 10. That people, anyway, I won't go into that so long before. But it's a very difficult to, life becomes so miserable that people first, they're attached, then they're fearful because that attachment creates so many difficulties, and then krodha, they become very angry, and they give up the shelter of the Supreme Personality of God. So, the members of the Krishna consciousness movement have vivid and unforgettable experiences of the terrible contradictions inherent in human society in this age, and thus they are firmly convinced that there is nothing to be achieved except the mercy of the Supreme Lord. In ISKCON centers throughout the world, we observe wonderfully ecstatic kirtan performances in which men, women, and children from all walks of life chant with startling enthusiasm the holy names of Krishna and dance in ecstasy, becoming completely indifferent to the so-called public opinion. In America, a prominent professor from Oberlin College visited a Hare Krishna center in California and was astonished by the enthusiasm with which the devotees chant the holy name of Krishna in their congregational performance. So many times the Prabhupada would speak with priests, Christian priests, and they would say, why are our young people leaving our church? They've left our church and now they're coming to you. And Prabhupada said, because we are presenting a scientific process of Krishna consciousness. That's why. So we have to understand it. I read one commentator of the Bhagavatam, and he said, all these stories in the Bhagavatam are not found in Vedanta Sutra. It's only because this expansion of Vedanta Sutra is necessary for people who cannot, they cannot within their consciousness expand from the philosophical basis of Krishna consciousness, expand it into the Krishna Lila. And therefore so many other stories are necessary, meaning Mahabharata, Ramayana. So expanded story of the pastimes of the Lord. And the Lord performed these pastimes, especially for the people of Kali Yuga. Otherwise, these pastimes are unlimited. Even Chaitanya cannot properly recount the pastimes of the Lord, even though he has thousands of mouths. So what can we do? But what we can do is give shelter to these people. Due to their helpless and pathetic condition, living entities in Kali Yuga have a great impetus to surrender fully to the holy name of Krishna, putting all their hope and faith in the Lord's holy name. Kali Yuga, therefore, is the best age, because in this age, more than in Satya Yuga or other ages, the Christian souls become disgusted with the kingdom of illusion and surrender fully to the Lord's holy name. This status of full surrender is called Paramashanti, or supreme peace, which is not just peace, not the peace of going to the countryside. This guy saw some people this morning walking here in the temple premises. They're coming here to run or to do their exercise. They want material peace. They don't understand this place is for spiritual peace. They want peace to the body, make my body nice and healthy and I can enjoy it. But still, they're coming and they're taking shelter of the devotees in a very external way. We provide that. And then they'll take some prasad. So we're here for all classes of people. We're not just here for some particular class of people. So anyway, I'll just finish the purport and make one point that time is already up. Sri Madhvacharya has quoted a passage from the book Swabhavya to the effect that a bona fide spiritual master in disciplic succession is able to understand the mentality and capability of his disciples and engage them in worshiping a particular form of the Lord suitable for them. So this is very important. Otherwise one may say, if all the knowledge is here in the Bhagavatam, why do I need a spiritual master? Here is the answer. First of all, we're addicted to our swabhava. For the book is called Swabhavya. How to deal with your swabhava. Because otherwise, we could just read. We have Prabhupada's report. We could just read. But that we will subject Prabhupada's reports to our conditioning. That is our tendency. Why is there so much dissension among devotees? Because they all have their own interpretation of Prabhupada's purport other than full surrender. Or some people, their full surrender is so fanatical that they condemn other people. That the way they're trying to fully surrender. So, this is our conditioned nature. Instead of Paramashanti, we have Paramahashanti. So, we're arguing for no reason. So it says, a particular form suitable. This is discussed by Lord Brahma, that he says that the Lord, when one, this is a very important point, Swam Bhakti Yoga Pari Bhavita, Vrit Saruja, I'll say, the Lord goes into, situates himself in the heart of the living entity. When the entity is Bhakti Yoga Pari Bhavita, Vrit Saruja, he situates himself there when the person is fully situated in Bhakti, totally surrendered. And how do you become totally surrendered? that Shudakshita Batunana Nanta Umsam. You become fully surrendered by hearing, seeing through the ears. Literally, we see through the ears. We don't see through these eyes. They're very different. Therefore, Krishna says, Pashyante Jnana Shakti. You see through the eyes of knowledge which come into the ears. And then ultimately the best eye is Vilokayana, the eye of the heart. That is the best eye. So, but these eyes, we tend to see everything through these eyes, and they're very different. But we can see the Bible come through them, and they become very different. So, and then Lord Brahma says, Yad Yad Iya Ta Ugaya Vipavaya. Then I give, I will appear in Panayasi Shadanugrahaya to distribute my mercy. I will appear in the form which a devotee desires. But what devotee? A devotee who is for good. Otherwise, the Lord becomes subordinate to the devotees. Like we just finished Damodar Leela. The whole purpose of that Leela is to show how the Lord becomes fully surrendered to his devotees. So I just finished the last paragraph. The general rule, in this way the spiritual master destroys all the obstacles on the path of his disciple. So this is the duty of the Guru, to make sure to understand the disciple, and to make sure. So if a Guru has many disciples, he has to engage others in this process. Otherwise, we're not doing what is recommended here. This is coming from Madhvacharya. The general rule is that one must worship the particular form of the Lord that appears in the current Yuga. One may also offer his love and worship to other forms of the Lord that will appear in other ages. And specifically, one is recommended to chant the holy name of the Lord Nrsimha to get all protection. Practically, all of these injunctions are being carried out within the ISKCON movement. Within the Krishna conscious society, men, women, and children are all being engaged in worshiping the Lord according to their particular nature. In addition, according to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's order, we are worshiping Balaram and Krishna, who appeared in Dwarka Yuga, because they are the original Supreme Personality of God. And why else? Because they have appeared as Bornita. We worship them so that we can understand who is Bornita. And similarly, by chanting Dasaraj Stotra, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, and by reading Srimad Bhagavatam, the members of the ISKCON worship all of the plenary expansions of the personality of God. After every arati performance, devotional prayers are duly chanted to Lord Nrsimha for the protection of this movement, which is so essential to human society. So, very long before. So, just in conclusion, this is the conclusion. This movement is essential to human society. It is essential. We must make sure that we are very seriously practicing Krishna consciousness. We are seriously practicing. Because we have been given a great mission by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and by Srila Prabhupada. It is the representative in the Parampara, the one among so many disciples of Bhakti-Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur who understood what was needed. The movement to spread throughout the world and bring people to the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is recommended in the previous verses here. Vande Mahaprabhu De Saranara. Everyone must come to the shelter of the lotus feet of the Mahaprabhu, and that Mahaprabhu is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In this age of Kali, he is the mahaprabhu. Like it says here in the purport. In other ages, there are other Purushas. But the mahaprabhu, who can even give more than what was given in other ages. Because in Kali Yuga we have the great Buddhist, this is the subject matter of the next verse. In Kali Yuga, the advantage is that it's so visible that we can actually become helpless. In such a yuga, they cannot become helpless. In other yugas, where they have elaborate deity worship or elaborate yajnas, they don't become completely helpless. Some people do, but most people don't. But in this age, people are automatically helpless. Although if they're false ego, they think, no, I'm in control. But so Kali Yuga will continue its onslaught until people realize it. And then the Sankirtan movement can flourish beyond our own imagination. Just like India is sending a rocket to the moon. So there's a realization that will come from this Sankirtan movement that will, when it overcomes the world. And what does that have to do with us? We have the opportunity to be in the forefront, to participate. This movement is just taking off, just starting to take off here in India. Everybody knows ISKCON. But now we have to make sure that ISKCON comes up to their expectations and doesn't let them down. This is our responsibility. And therefore we have to be very careful that we don't become comfortable or complacent and think that it's all right here in the temple, I have a nice place in the ashram. No, we have to go out and give the Sankirtan movement to the world. And all of you born in India, Srila Prabhupada says, you have a specific responsibility. Even more than those of us who were born in Malaysia land. We're just getting some special mercy. But all of you, according to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you have to do this. And Srila Prabhupada said, don't even just do it in India, you must go out beyond India. So don't get too comfortable in the ashram or in your home. We have to take this movement. Just like Mataji here, she's going around at advanced age, traveling in different parts of the world. And some of you young men are feeling comfortable. So, it has to do with the 9th chapter of Adi Lila. And so we should become comfortable. We should take advantage of these examples. How should the Prabhupada, his faithful disciple, Devotees who is also going, traveling outside, giving. Not that everybody has to go outside, but whether we're outside or inside, we have to go out and give the Krishna consciousness to the world. So anyway, sorry we went a little over time, but that was a long purport. I'll stop here. I don't think there's time now for questions. One? Maybe one question, if there is one. Although everything was very clear. But
in this purpose, is coming that the main how to overcome the reincarnation. So in material world, Maharaj, the people are so busy in this material world for the like money, after duty, so they don't feel to need work to birth and death. And for me, when till that time in the association of devotee, I feel to need work to birth and death. or after being association of devotee, we don't think about this. We only think about money, beauty, and so on. So how to tell people? So this is the most important part for our human life.
Prabhupada said, if you don't need money, he said, therefore we have these temples. You can come, stay in the temple, you will get Krishna Prasad, and you simply engage in Krishna consciousness. But because we believe more of the materialists than Prabhupada, we think, no, I have to go out and make money. This is Prabhupada said this many times. He said, you come and stay here, and you promote the Sankirtan movement, and Krishna will give everything. By yajna, everything comes. And this is the Sankirtan yajna. So, if more people come and surrender, we will build that you're all in Maya. And then, but how do you use your money? That's the important thing. No problem to make money. I think it's 18:7 in Purport in Bhagavad Gita, that if someone has the ability to make money, doesn't do it, this is renunciation of the mode of passion. Otherwise, if you can make money, do it, but then use it for Krishna. So, no problem. But we can't just get up in this mentality that, oh, I have to make money. You don't have to. You want to. If you really don't want to make money, then come, surrender. Just like one time Srila Prabhupada was giving a lecture in Delhi, and one man said, why do you have all these Western sannyasis? And Srila Prabhupada said, you want to see Indian sannyasis? He said, yes, and come here right now. Of course, at that time, now we have Indian sannyasis. At that time, so that's the challenge. If you want to make money, that's not bad. Most people will have that inclination because we don't have the full faith that if I surrender everything will be taken care of. So therefore, that's what brahmacharya means. But the brahmacharya cannot be comfortable. Brahmacharya has to be a little uncomfortable. Otherwise, the brahmacharya is comfortable. In Los Angeles, they call this creamsicle. Creamsicle is an ice cream that has white ice cream and yellow orange on the outside. So the devotees from Ramakrishna that are too comfortable, they call them creamsicles. That is white on the inside and orange on the outside. So Ramakrishna means not so comfortable. It means that I'm surrendered. I'm here in the ashram. I can't just take over everything. So many funds are coming. People are giving big donations, and I can do a little service. One devotee in Delhi came to the head pujari, told me that he's only doing 3 hours of service. I said, Prabhu, you have to do 24 hours. That's what you do in the ashram. Not 3 hours, 24 hours. Otherwise, go get married and work hard. And then you'll appreciate what does money mean. It means something that will nourish, it means something to be given to the Sankirtan movement for printing books, distributing prasad. So we have a prasad building here, a whole building for distributing prasad. This is what we use money for, not to be comfortable. If you want to be comfortable with money, then you go out and you work. One devotee, I will finish the bit. One devotee came to Srila Prabhupada and said, Srila Prabhupada, I'm thinking about getting married, and so is it all right if I just do Sankirtan? And I can, then I'll be distributing books, I can make money, but no, you must work. So after he left, the devotee secretary asked, but isn't it good that he wants to do Sankirtan? He said, he wants to enjoy. He said, Sankirtan means sacrifice. Even if you're grihastha, if you do sankirtan, you must live like a brahmin. Not that you use sankirtan for living comfortably. Otherwise, better you work. If you want to enjoy your senses, you work hard. And then you understand the cost, the price of sense gratification. So anyway, thank you all very much for your kind attention. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Devotee Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Jai Guru.
Thank you very much, Maharaj, for the very class. Started from Sutwa.